What if I told you humanity isn't living its first civilization, it's living its seventh? And the strange feeling you sometimes get, that quiet sense that something about our history doesn't add up, isn't imagination. It's a system inside you trying to turn back on. Not your memory, not your intuition, something older. In 2022, a group of researchers studying developmental neurobiology noticed something unusual. They found a circuit in the human brain that's active in early childhood, highly active, and then abruptly shuts down around age 7. Not gradually, not randomly, abruptly. When they compared this pattern across cultures, continents, and populations, they realized something even stranger. Children around the world share the same shutdown signal at the same age, as if something ancient and biological is being switched off on purpose. They didn't have a name for it, so they called it the Ancestral Encoding circuit. Because when it's active, humans demonstrate abilities we don't have reliable explanations for. Pattern recognition beyond learned experience, spatial memory for places they've never visited, and heightened sensitivity to symbols, geometry, and ruins. And here's where the research gets uncomfortable. A small percentage of adults, less than 1%, still show faint activity in this circuit. These adults report feeling out of place in time, having déjà vu in ancient sites, or dreaming of structures that match real archaeological layouts they've never seen. The press didn't cover the study. Institutions buried it. Because if this circuit truly contains encoded memory from civilizations before ours, it means our timeline isn't the full story. It means humans aren't just learning from the past, we're carrying it biologically. Ancient cultures hinted at this. The Egyptians encoded it in their initiation temples. Vedic texts described cycles of civilizations rising and falling. Mesoamerican myths reference previous worlds destroyed and reborn. Different continents, same story. And here's the part no one wants to explain. If 6 civilizations came before us, and they encoded a survival mechanism into their descendants, then every human alive today should have access to it. But most don't, because the circuit is dormant. By the time this ends, you'll know where that circuit lives, why it was suppressed, and how to activate it again, not through belief, not through meditation, but biologically. And if you're still here, it's not an accident. Your system is already responding. Let's begin. All right, let's get clear on something right now, because this is where most people check out, and I need you to stay with me. When I say civilization code, I'm not talking about metaphors. I'm not talking about vibe shifts or positive thinking or some new age fluff you pin on a vision board. I'm talking about an actual psycho-spiritual circuit, a biological, energetic, ancestral mechanism that exists in your nervous system right now. It's been there your whole life, dormant for most people, activated in a few, and it controls everything that matters. Here's what the code controls. 1, your awakening instinct. That pull you feel toward hidden knowledge, toward the stuff they don't teach, toward ancient ruins, forgotten symbols, mysteries that make no logical sense but feel true in your bones. You ever meet someone who just knows things, who seems to have this primal wisdom that doesn't come from books? That's not luck, that's not genetics, that's an activated code. 2, ancestral memory recall. Those moments where you know something you never learned, where you see a place you've never been and recognize it, where you dream in symbols that feel older than your own life. Let me give you an example. A woman in one of my communities had never studied ancient Egypt, never read a book about it, never watched a documentary. But one night she has this dream, vivid, detailed, visceral, of standing inside a temple, performing a ritual with water and light. She wakes up, draws what she saw, and later discovers it matches an actual ceremony from the temple of Dendara, down to the hand positions. Coincidence? Not even close. That's cellular memory surfacing. 3, intuition precision, not guessing, not hoping. That instant body-level knowing that says yes or no before your brain can catch up. That thing that saved your life more times than you realize. You know that feeling when you're about to get in a car or take a job or trust someone, and something in your gut screams no, and you ignore it because it's not logical. And later you find out you just avoided disaster. That's not luck. That's your code protecting you. 4. Pattern recognition. The ability to see what's repeating, to sense when the cycle is turning, to detect truth from distortion even when everyone around you is buying the lie. Right now, if you're paying attention, you're seeing patterns everywhere. In how governments respond to crises, in how media shapes narratives, in how economic systems collapse in predictable ways. You're seeing the same plays run over and over, just with different names and dates. Most people don't see it. They think each crisis is new, shocking, unprecedented. But you see the pattern. You know we've been here before. That's code activation. 5. Spiritual resilience under chaos. When the world falls apart, and it will, some people collapse, others adapt. The difference? The code. Think about it. When COVID hit, when the world locked down, when everything changed overnight, some people fell apart. Anxiety, depression, paralysis, but others, they adapted. They stayed calm. They found new ways. They didn't panic because somewhere deep inside, they'd survived worse before. Not in this lifetime. But the coding remembers. The civilization code is your inheritance, not from your parents, not from your culture, from the survivors of 6 previous worlds. Now here's where this gets real. You already know if your code is active or dormant. You don't need me to tell you. You can feel it. People with the civilization code. Active. Feel constantly pulled by something ancient, something they can't name but can't ignore. Sense that timelines are collapsing, that we're running out of time, that something major is approaching. Experience accelerated intuition. They just know things before they happen, before anyone announces them. Have spontaneous, symbolic dreams that feel more real than waking life, dreams of water, of falling structures, of migrations. Are naturally drawn to megaliths, ruins, ancient sites they feel called there, like a magnetic pull they can't explain. Can't shake the feeling that history is a lie, that something massive has been hidden, erased, rewritten. Feel like an old soul trapped in a modern nightmare, like they were born in the wrong era. Experience déjà vu constantly, not just in places, but in entire situations, conversations, world events. Find themselves saying, "I've seen this before," even when they logically haven't. Feel homesick for places they've never been. People with the code dormant. Live entirely inside modern illusions. Netflix, news cycles, social media loops, the daily grind. Believe history started 12,000 years ago with Mesopotamia. Nothing before. Humans were primitive cavemen. Cannot see patterns repeating. Each crisis feels brand new, shocking, unprecedented. Fear the unknown more than anything. Cling to authority, experts, official stories for safety. Feel safe only when they're told what to think, what to do, what to believe by approved sources. Never question the timeline, the narrative, the system. It's all just accepted as truth. Think people like you are crazy, conspiracy theorists, dangerous for asking questions. Have no sense of ancestral connection. They're just individuals floating in time. Can't imagine the world being different than it is now. Believe technology and progress are linear, that we're the peak of human development. And here's the brutal part. If your code is dormant, you don't even know it. You think you're fine. You think you're awake. You think watching YouTube videos about ancient aliens means you're enlightened. But activation isn't about knowing things. It's about becoming something. It's a frequency shift, a nervous system upgrade, a cellular remembering that changes how you move through the world. And the wild part, this isn't woo-woo. Science is catching up. Let me show you the evidence. Epigenetic memory loops. Your DNA doesn't just carry genetic instructions. It carries emotional imprints, trauma, survival patterns, instincts passed down through generations. There's a famous study done at Emory University. Researchers trained mice to fear the smell of cherry blossoms by pairing it with electric shocks. Then they bred those mice. The offspring, who never experienced the shocks, were also afraid of cherry blossoms. So were their offspring, for generations. The memory of trauma was encoded in their DNA and passed down. When your great-great-great ancestors survived a flood, a famine, a collapse, your body remembers. Not consciously, cellularly. That's why some people have an irrational fear of water even though they've never drowned. That's why some people hoard food, even though they've never starved. That's why some people can't trust authority, even though they've never been betrayed. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Instinctive pattern detection networks. Your brain has ancient circuits designed to detect danger, recognize cycles, sense shifts in the environment before they happen. This isn't magic. This is evolution. The people who sensed the flood coming survived. The ones who didn't. The people who recognized the pattern of drought, famine, collapse survived. The ones who didn't. You carry those survivor genes, those pattern recognition circuits. You just have to reactivate them. The pineal limbic orientation system, your pineal gland, the third eye they mock in mainstream science, is a magnetite-rich, light-sensitive organ connected directly to your emotional brain. It responds to Earth's magnetic field. It responds to celestial cycles. It responds to shifts in consciousness that your rational brain can't process. Ancient cultures knew this. They activated it through ritual, fasting, breathwork, sensory deprivation, meditation, plant medicines. Modern humans, they calcify it with fluoride, blue light, constant distraction, artificial rhythms, electromagnetic pollution, and never being in darkness. That's not an accident. That's by design, because a person with an active pineal gland can't be easily controlled. They see through lies, they sense manipulation, they know truth from distortion. Subconscious myth memory archive. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious. Joseph Campbell called it the monomyth. Ancient shamans called it the dreamtime. Different names, same truth. There's a library of symbolic memory stored below your conscious awareness. Archetypes, patterns, stories that appear in every culture across every continent, even though these cultures never contacted each other. The flood myth, the dying and resurrecting God, the world tree, the cosmic egg, the divine feminine, the hero's journey. Why do these same stories appear everywhere? Because they're not stories. They're memories. Memories of what actually happened. Memories encoded in our collective DNA. Memories passed down through the survivors. And when you access this archive, you don't learn, you remember. Survivor coding carried through bottlenecks. Every time civilization collapsed, and it has repeatedly, the survivors carried specific traits. Not just physical strength, psychological resilience, spiritual adaptability. The ability to let go of the old world and build in the new. Geneticists call these bottleneck events. Moments when the human population crashed to nearly nothing, and only the most resilient survived. And those survivors, they passed down their traits, their instincts, their code. That coding is in you, right now, waiting. Here's what they don't tell you. The civilization code doesn't activate through study. It doesn't activate through belief. It activates through recognition. The moment you recognize the pattern, the moment you see that we've been here before, that this has all happened before, that you've been here before, something clicks. Your nervous system shifts, your perception expands, your DNA starts expressing dormant genes, and you stop living like a citizen of 2025. You start living like a descendant of 6 forgotten worlds who knows exactly what's coming and exactly what to do. Now let me show you something that will blow your mind. Do you know what the half-life of a civilization is? About 336 years. That's the average time a civilization maintains its peak before decline begins. Rome peaked around 300 years. The British Empire, about 300 years. Every major civilization follows the same pattern. And the United States, founded 1776. We're at 249 years. We're right on schedule. But here's the deeper pattern. Major civilizational collapses happen in cycles of approximately 12,000 to 13,000 years. The last major one, around 12,800 years ago. The Younger Dryas, a global cataclysm that wiped out megafauna, collapsed ice sheets, caused worldwide flooding and reset human civilization. Before that, another cycle, and another, and another. 6 times. And we're due. Not in 1,000 years. Not in your grandchildren's lifetime. We're in the window right now. And if you can feel it, if you've been feeling that tension, that acceleration, that sense that time is running out, it's because your code is activating. Your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. So let me ask you directly. Do you feel it? That pull? That knowing? That sense that you're not supposed to be here in this time, living this way, accepting this version of reality? Do you feel like you're remembering something instead of learning something? Do you feel like you've been preparing for something your whole life without knowing what it was? If yes, keep watching. If no, you're in the wrong place, because what's coming next isn't for everyone. It's only for the ones who are ready to stop pretending, the ones who are ready to activate, the ones who know deep down that they're here for a reason, and that reason is about to become clear. Let's talk about why you never heard any of this in school. Why your history teacher never mentioned the 6 civilizations before ours. Why archaeology ignores sites that don't fit the timeline. Why you were taught that humans were hunter-gatherers until 10,000 BC. Then suddenly, boom, agriculture, cities, pyramids. Here's the truth. Modern education wasn't built to teach you the truth. It was built to teach you compliance. Think about it. What did school actually train you for? Sit still for hours. Don't question authority figures. Memorize what you're told without understanding why. Repeat it back on a test exactly as given. Get a grade that determines your worth. Get a job that determines your identity. Pay taxes that fund the system. Don't make waves. Don't ask questions. Don't challenge the narrative. That's not education. That's domestication. And it's by design. Because the moment you activate the civilization code, the moment you start remembering, seeing patterns, questioning the official story, you become dangerous. Not violent, not crazy. Dangerous to the system. Because you stop depending on it. You stop needing their approvals, their institutions, their experts to tell you what's real. You start trusting your own knowing, your own instincts, your own ancestral memory. And that terrifies them. Let me show you what school optimized for. Single worldview thinking. There's only one right answer, only one accepted timeline, only one version of history. Any deviation? You're a conspiracy theorist. You're uneducated. You're dangerous. They teach you that the pyramids were built by Pharaoh Khufu in 2560 BC using copper tools and wooden ramps. That's it. That's the story. But ask why there's no soot on the ceiling of the king's chamber if they used torches. Ask how they cut granite with copper. Ask why the precision matches modern CNC machining. Ask why the blocks fit together so tightly you can't fit a piece of paper between them. And suddenly you're the problem. Social compliance. Don't stand out. Don't challenge the teacher. Don't question the textbook. Fit in. Blend in. Survive by conforming. I remember in school, I asked my history teacher about Göbekli Tepe. A site in Turkey with massive stone pillars arranged in circles, carved with detailed reliefs of animals, dated to 9600 BC. 9600 BC. That's before agriculture, before cities, before anything in the official timeline. You know what my teacher said? That's not in the curriculum. Not, I don't know. Not, let's research it together. That's not in the curriculum. Translation. Don't ask questions that don't have approved answers. Fear of looking irrational. The worst thing you can be in modern society? Irrational, emotional, intuitive, mystical. So you learn to suppress those things. You learn to only trust logic, which is just another word for accepted narrative. You have a gut feeling about something? Doesn't matter. Where's the peer-reviewed study? You sense a pattern forming? Doesn't matter. Where's the data? You know something in your bones? Doesn't matter. That's not how we do things here. And so you disconnect from the most powerful intelligence you have, your body's knowing. Identity dependent on authority narratives. Who are you? You're a citizen, a taxpayer, a consumer, a voter. Your identity is entirely built on systems outside yourself. You're defined by your job, your degree, your credit score, your social media following, your political affiliation. Remove those systems, and most people have no idea who they are. They've never asked, who am I beneath all these labels? What am I carrying that's older than these structures? What's my real identity? Because that question is dangerous. That question leads to, I'm not who they told me I am. I'm something older, something deeper, something they can't control. But here's what activates the civilization code. Questioning official timelines. Noticing forbidden archaeology, sites that predate accepted history and shouldn't exist. Detecting patterns across myths from cultures that never contacted each other. Feeling ancestral pull toward older ages, older ways, older truths. Allowing yourself to remember instead of believe. See the conflict? The system can't allow that, because if you remember, you don't need them. Now let's get specific about why institutions suppress this. Industrial era design. The entire school system was built during the Industrial Revolution to create factory workers. Obedient, punctual, replaceable. The bell rings, you move. The bell rings, you stop. You do what you're told. You don't ask why. It was never designed to create free thinkers, mystics, pattern recognizers, or ancestral warriors. It was designed to create workers who wouldn't question the system. And it worked. Political stability. Governments need citizens who believe in the current system, who believe this is the only way, who believe we're at the peak of human development and nothing better has ever existed. If people realized we're actually in a decline from previous heights, if they realized we used to be more advanced, more conscious, more connected, if they realized collapse is inevitable and cyclical, that this has all happened before and will happen again, the system loses its power. Why would you sacrifice for a 401k that might not exist in 10 years? Why would you work 40 years for a pension when the currency might collapse? Why would you trust governments when you realize every empire falls? You wouldn't. And that's the threat. Academic protectionism. Universities control knowledge. They decide what's real and what's fringe. They decide who gets funding, who gets published, who gets tenure. And anyone who challenges the timeline, they get blacklisted. Not because they're wrong, because they're threatening. There's a geologist named Dr. Robert Schoch. He examined the weathering patterns on the Sphinx and concluded it shows evidence of water erosion. Not wind erosion, water erosion. Which means it had to have been built before the Sahara was a desert. Which means it's at least 7,000 to 10,000 years older than the accepted date. He presented his findings, with data, with evidence. And he was ridiculed, dismissed, called a pseudoscientist. Not because his methodology was wrong, but because his conclusion threatened the entire timeline. Geostrategic interests. World powers don't want you knowing that civilization has collapsed before, that empires fall, that nothing lasts. Why? Because then you'd stop believing in their permanence. You'd stop sacrificing for their wars, their economies, their agendas. You'd stop believing that America or China or whoever will last forever. You'd start preparing for what comes after. And you can't have a compliant population if they're all preparing for collapse. Fear of unveiling cyclical catastrophes. If people understood that cataclysms happen on a predictable cycle, solar events, magnetic pole shifts, asteroid impacts, massive floods, they'd start preparing. They'd stop investing in the system, they'd stop working 40-year careers for pensions that might not exist. They'd stop trusting long-term planning when the cycle is ending. They'd live differently, prioritize differently, think differently. And the entire economic system, which depends on people believing in stable, predictable futures, would collapse. So they don't teach the cycle. They don't mention the pattern. They don't acknowledge the evidence. Here's the real danger. It's not that we learn the truth. It's that once we know the truth, we stop playing the game. We stop giving our power to systems that were designed to harvest it. We stop believing that this version of civilization is the final one, the best one, the only one. We start operating like what we actually are, descendants of survivors who've done this before. And when enough people activate that frequency, the system can't control them anymore. That's why they bury the evidence. That's why they mock the researchers. That's why they call you crazy for asking questions. Not because you're wrong, because you're awake. And here's the part that should make you angry. They didn't just hide the truth. They inverted it. They took the code, the civilization code that makes you powerful, independent, spiritually resilient, and they taught you to fear it. They called it conspiracy thinking, pseudoscience, dangerous misinformation, mental illness, delusion, paranoia. They pathologized your instincts. They medicated your intuition. They shamed your pattern recognition. Why? Because if you trusted yourself, you wouldn't need them. If you remembered your lineage, you wouldn't fear the collapse. If you activated the code, you'd become ungovernable. Let me give you specific examples of what they're hiding. Göbekli Tepe, Turkey, built 9,600 BC. Massive stone pillars, sophisticated carvings, astronomical alignments. This shouldn't exist according to the timeline. Humans were supposed to be primitive hunter-gatherers. No cities, no organization, no technology. And yet, here's a site that required massive coordination, advanced planning, and knowledge of astronomy. They found it in 1994. It's been excavated for 30 years, and most people have never heard of it. The Rishat structure, Mauritania, a massive circular formation in the Sahara, exactly matches Plato's description of Atlantis down to the dimensions and the concentric circles. Mainstream explanation. It's a natural geological formation. Even though it has evidence of human modification, even though it matches the description perfectly, even though it's in the exact location Plato described. The Sphinx water erosion. As I mentioned, the weathering patterns on the Sphinx show water erosion, heavy rainfall, for thousands of years. But Egypt has been a desert for 5,000 years, which means the Sphinx predates the desert, which means it's much, much older than we're told, and that breaks the entire timeline. The Bosnian pyramids. Massive pyramid structures in Bosnia covered in vegetation. They look like hills now, but ground-penetrating radar shows they're man-made structures. Dating estimates put them at 25,000 plus years old. Mainstream archaeology denies they exist, calls them natural formations. Because if they're real, if they're that old, the entire story of human history collapses. The Denisovan bracelet, found in Siberia, dated to 40,000 years ago. A polished stone bracelet with a drilled hole so precise it could only have been made with high-speed drilling technology. 40,000 years ago, humans supposedly had crude stone tools and fire. And yet here's a bracelet that requires technology we associate with modern machining. They don't talk about this in school. The Longyou caves, China, massive underground caverns, hand-carved with incredible precision. Nobody knows who made them or when. But the sophistication is far beyond what should be possible for ancient people. Not mentioned in history books. The Antikythera mechanism. A 2,000-year-old Greek device that's essentially an analog computer. It tracks astronomical cycles with a level of precision that wasn't matched again until the 14th century. It shouldn't exist. But it does. And it proves that ancient people had knowledge and technology far beyond what we give them credit for. Here's the pattern. Every time archaeologists find something that doesn't fit the timeline, it gets dismissed as a hoax, explained away with implausible theories, ignored by mainstream academia, buried in obscure journals nobody reads, never taught in schools. Because the timeline must be protected. Because if the timeline breaks, everything breaks. So let me ask you something. Are you angry yet? You should be. Not at me, not at them. At the fact that you've been walking around with a superpower your whole life and nobody told you. You've been carrying ancestral memory, survivor instincts, collapse resilience coding, and instead of activating it, you were taught to suppress it, medicate it, ignore it. You were taught that your knowing was wrong, that your instincts were irrational, that your pattern recognition was paranoia, and you believed them, because you trusted the system more than you trusted yourself. Well, not anymore. Because the seventh civilization is ending. The cycle is turning, and the only people who are going to make it through are the ones who remember who they really are. So the question isn't whether the code is real. The question is, are you ready to stop letting them tell you who you are? Are you ready to remember? All right, we need to go deeper now. Because understanding the code intellectually won't activate it. You have to feel it. You have to become it. So let me show you how the civilization code actually functions in your body, your emotions, your nervous system. This is where it gets practical. This is where it becomes something you can use tonight. Now picture this, either on the screen or in your mind. A simple loop, a circuit. This is the civilization code in motion. It always begins with emotion, that spark of curiosity or inattention that tells you something deeper is happening. That emotional charge opens the door to mythic memory activation, where your nervous system starts pulling forgotten patterns and ancestral instincts from the archive inside you. Once that memory lights up, you naturally shift into behavioral alignment. Your actions, decisions, and reactions begin syncing with a deeper intelligence rather than surface-level thought. And when your behavior aligns, you trigger synchronicity. The right people, signs, and opportunities start appearing as if reality is responding to you. Follow that long enough, and you reach the final stage, reality shift. The moment where life stops feeling random, and you experience yourself as part of a much older, much larger pattern. That is the civilization code circuit, and once it starts, it doesn't stop. Let me break this down in a way that actually makes sense for your life right now. Step 1. Emotion. Everything starts here. Not thought, not logic, emotion, curiosity, awe, existential tension, these are the gateways. When you feel that pull, that magnetic, unexplainable pull, towards something ancient, something hidden, something you can't articulate, that's not random. That's your code trying to activate. Most people shut it down immediately. They rationalize it away. They say, that's just my imagination. That's not real. I'm being silly. I need to focus on practical things. Wrong. That pull is the most real thing you've ever felt. It's your nervous system scanning for ancestral patterns. It's your body recognizing a signal that your conscious mind can't process yet. And the moment you lean into it, the moment you say, okay, I'm listening, the gateway opens. Here's what that looks like in real life. You're watching a documentary about Göbekli Tepe, and suddenly you feel this wave of recognition. Not intellectual, cellular, like you've stood in that place before. Like your body remembers something your mind doesn't. Your eyes might water. Your chest might tighten. You might feel a pull so strong, you have to pause the video. That's not emotion for emotion's sake. That's activation. You have a dream about water rising. Not a normal dream, a vivid, visceral, terrifying dream where you're running, climbing, trying to reach high ground. And you wake up with your heart racing, drenched in sweat, feeling like you just survived something. That's not a nightmare. That's ancestral memory surfacing. You see a symbol, an ancient glyph, a sacred geometry pattern, a spiral carved into stone, and something in your chest tightens. You don't know why. You can't explain it, you just feel it. That's recognition. That's the code trying to speak to you through symbols your conscious mind doesn't understand, but your subconscious absolutely does. Here's what most people do wrong. They feel the emotion and immediately try to rationalize it. Why am I crying over a picture of ruins? That's stupid. Why did I have that dream? I must be stressed. Why do I feel drawn to this? It's not logical. And they shut it down. But emotion is the language of the code. When you feel something ancient stirring, that's not a malfunction. That's the system working perfectly. So here's what you do instead. You feel it, fully, without judgment, without rationalization. You let the emotion move through you. You say, I don't understand this yet, but I'm listening. And you wait for what comes next. Step 2. Mythic memory. Activation. Once the emotion opens the gateway, your subconscious starts searching. It's scanning your DNA, your epigenetic memory, your collective unconscious archive for patterns that match the signal. And this is where it gets wild. You start remembering things you never learned. You start having instincts that don't make logical sense. You start knowing things about survival, about cycles, about what's coming, that you have no rational explanation for. Example 1. You've never studied geology, never taken a class, never read a book about it. But suddenly you find yourself obsessed with high ground. Not because you read about floods, because something in your body is saying, get high, stay high, water is coming. You start noticing elevations. You find yourself gravitating toward higher elevations when you travel. You avoid low-lying coastal areas without knowing why. That's not paranoia. That's ancestral survivor coding, activating. Your ancestors survived a flood, a massive, world-changing flood, and that memory is encoded in your DNA. Example 2. You've never been religious, never been spiritual, never meditated or done breath work or any of that. But suddenly you're drawn to fasting, to silence, to solitude, to sitting in darkness, not because it's trendy, not because you read about it, because your body is trying to access the same states your ancestors used to navigate collapse. Fasting sharpens perception. Silence clears mental noise. Solitude allows intuition to speak. Darkness activates the pineal gland. Your body knows this, your ancestors practiced this, and now you're being pulled to do the same. Example 3. You start noticing patterns everywhere. In politics, in economics, in social behavior, you see the same cycles repeating, the same warning signs, the same trajectory toward inevitable breakdown. Everyone around you is surprised by every crisis, shocked by every collapse, blindsided by every failure. But you saw it coming, not because you're smarter, because you can see the pattern. You recognize the signs of collapse, because your ancestors survived collapse, and they passed down the ability to recognize when it's happening again. Here's what's actually happening physiologically. When strong emotion opens the gateway, your brain shifts into a specific state. Theta brainwaves. The same state you're in right before sleep. The same state shamans enter during ritual. In this state, your conscious mind quiets, and your subconscious starts accessing deeper memory banks. Not just your personal memories from this lifetime, epigenetic memories, cellular memories, collective memories. And information starts surfacing that you couldn't access before. This is how people suddenly remember skills they never learned. A woman who's never gardened suddenly knows exactly how to grow food, which plants to pair together, when to plant, how to harvest seeds. A man who's never built anything suddenly knows how to construct shelter, how to find materials, how to make it weather-resistant. A person who's never studied medicine suddenly knows which plants heal which ailments, how to dress wounds, how to set bones. This isn't channeling. This isn't past life regression. This is genetic memory activating. Step 3. Behavioral alignment. Once the memory activates, your behavior starts to shift automatically. You don't have to force it. You don't have to try. It just happens. You stop doing things the old way. You stop trusting the same systems. You stop seeking approval from people who are still asleep. And you start acting like an ancient survivor. You seek high ground, symbolically and literally. You avoid flood zones, coastal areas, low-lying cities. You're drawn to mountains, hills, elevated terrain. Even symbolically, you start seeking higher ground in your thinking, higher perspectives, elevated consciousness. You learn forgotten skills, growing food, purifying water, building shelter, making fire, preserving food, first aid, navigation without technology. Not because you're a prepper, not because you're paranoid, because something in you knows these skills will matter. You follow intuition over logic. You used to make decisions based on pros and cons lists, rational analysis, what makes sense on paper. Now, you trust your gut first. You feel into decisions. You let your body guide you. And weirdly, it works better than logic ever did. You reject false authorities. You used to believe doctors, politicians, experts, authorities knew better than you. Now, you question everything. You verify. You trust yourself over them. Not because you're arrogant, because you've activated your own inner knowing. You prepare without panic. You're not hoarding supplies out of fear. You're calmly, methodically getting ready. Water, food, skills, community, knowledge. There's no franticness, no anxiety, just quiet, practical readiness. You trust your body's signals over expert opinions. You used to ignore your body and trust external authorities. Now, your body is your primary intelligence source. It tells you what to eat, when to move, who to trust, what to avoid. And you listen. Let this land. You're not trying to do these things. You're not forcing yourself to be prepared. It's happening organically because your nervous system has shifted into survival mode. Not fear-based survival, but ancient, calm, certain survival. Here's the difference. Most people prepare from fear. They hoard supplies, build bunkers, stockpile weapons because they're terrified. They're imagining worst-case scenarios. They're panicking. They're operating from scarcity. But people with the code activated? They prepare from knowing. There's no panic, no paranoia, just quiet, practical readiness. Because they've done this before, not in this lifetime, but the coding remembers. They remember what worked, what didn't, what matters, what doesn't, and they act accordingly. Step 4, synchronicity. This is where reality gets weird. Once your behavior aligns with the code, synchronicity starts happening. Meaningful coincidences, perfect timing, right place, right time moments. You meet the right people at the right time. You find information you didn't search for but desperately needed. Opportunities appear that didn't exist yesterday. Doors open that were locked before, and here's why. You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of the default human program. You're vibrating at the frequency of ancestral memory. And reality, because it's responsive, not fixed, starts reorganizing itself around your new frequency. Real examples from people who've activated this. Example 1. A man suddenly feels called to move to a specific region. He doesn't know why. He just knows. It doesn't make logical sense. His job is where he is. His family is where he is. But the pull is undeniable. He follows it. He moves. 6 months later, the city he left floods, catastrophically. His old apartment building is underwater. He didn't have proof. He didn't have logic. He just trusted the knowing, and it saved his life. Example 2. A woman starts having dreams about a specific skill, metalworking. She's never done metalworking. She's never even been interested in it. But the dreams are persistent, detailed. She sees herself heating metal, shaping it, creating tools. She follows the pull. She takes a class. She's immediately good at it, unnaturally good. Within a year, she's teaching that skill to others. And when the economy crashes and people need practical skills, metalworking becomes her lifeline, her income, her value. Example 3. A person starts pulling away from their social circle, not because they're antisocial, not because there was a fight, because the frequency doesn't match anymore. Their friends only want to talk about surface stuff, sports, shows, gossip, and suddenly that feels hollow, empty, like a waste of time. So they naturally drift away, and within months, they've attracted an entirely new network. People who are on the same path, people who are also activating, people who get it, without trying, without forcing. The right people just showed up. This isn't the law of attraction. This is evolutionary memory resurfacing. The law of attraction says, think positive thoughts and good things will happen. This is different. This is align with your ancestral coding, and reality reorganizes around your frequency. It's not about positive thinking. It's about being in the right vibration. And when you're in that vibration, the universe, or whatever you want to call it, responds. Step 5, reality shift. And finally, you step out of the default human program entirely. You stop living like a citizen of the 7th civilization. You start living like a descendant of 6 lost worlds who knows exactly what this is. You're not trying to survive the collapse. You're preparing to build after it. You're not afraid of the cycle ending. You understand it has to end. That's the design, and you step into your true role: bridge, guide, keeper, survivor. Here's the reframe. Most people think the goal is to get through the collapse, to bunker down, hoard supplies, and wait it out. Wrong. The goal is to carry the code through the collapse so the 8th civilization has a chance. You're not just surviving for yourself. You're surviving for what comes after. You're a carrier, a link, a living archive. You're carrying knowledge, skills, consciousness that will be needed to rebuild. That's your job. That's why you're here. That's why you feel the way you do. You're not just some random person living in 2025. You're a descendant, a keeper, a bridge between worlds. And the more you activate the code, the more you realize this was always the plan. You were always meant to be here, now, in this time, for this purpose. Everything you've been through, every struggle, every loss, every weird pull toward ancient things, it was all preparation. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And now it's time to fully activate. All right, real talk time. If you've made it this far and you're feeling uncomfortable, defensive, or like you want to click away, good. That means something's waking up. But if you're feeling numb, if this all sounds interesting but distant, like it doesn't really apply to you, then your code might still be offline. And that's not a judgment. It's a diagnosis, because here's the thing. Most people don't even know their code is dormant. They think they're awake. They think they're spiritual. They think reading books and watching videos means they've activated something. But activation isn't about information, it's about transformation. So here are the signs, the real signs, that your civilization code is still offline. Sign 1. Feeling numb to ancient mysteries. You hear about Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids, the Nazca lines, the Sphinx, Atlantis, and you think, that's cool, I guess. But you don't feel anything. There's no pull, no curiosity, no sense of, I need to understand this. No tears, no chills, no body response. If that's you, your code is offline, because when the code is active, ancient sites don't feel like trivia. They feel like home. They feel like memory. People with active codes will watch a documentary about ancient Egypt and cry, not because they're emotional people, because something in their body is remembering. Sign 2. Believing history is linear and simple. You believe the official timeline, hunter-gatherers, agriculture, cities, industrial revolution, modern world, clean, linear, simple, progressive. Humanity started primitive and has been steadily getting better, smarter, more advanced. You don't question it. You don't see the gaps. You don't wonder about the impossible precision of ancient construction, the advanced astronomical knowledge, the global myths of floods and cataclysms. If you think we're the most advanced humans who ever existed, your code is offline. Because activated people know we're not the peak, we're the aftermath. Sign 3. Fear of challenging official narratives. Someone mentions alternative history and your first response is, where's the peer-reviewed study? Where's the academic consensus? Where's the mainstream acceptance? You need permission from authorities to consider new information. You can't trust your own pattern recognition. You'd rather be correct according to the system than curious according to your instincts. If that's you, your code is offline. Because activated people don't need permission to explore. They trust their own discernment over institutional approval. Sign 4. Feeling spiritually disconnected. You meditate. You read spiritual books. You follow gurus on Instagram. You go to workshops. You have crystals. But you don't feel anything. There's no real connection. No deep knowing. No sense of being part of something ancient and vast. Spirituality feels like a hobby, like something you do because it's interesting or trendy, not because it's essential. If spirituality feels like a hobby instead of a homecoming, your code is offline. Sign 5. Attraction to comfort over curiosity. You value safety, predictability, routine above all else. The idea of upheaval, collapse, or change terrifies you. You'd rather stay comfortable in a system that's dying than risk discomfort in pursuit of truth. You make decisions based on what feels safe, not what feels true. You choose the known over the unknown every single time. If comfort is your highest value, your code is offline. Because activated people value truth over comfort, growth over safety, alignment over ease. Sign 6. Repeating the phrase, that can't be true. Someone shares evidence of advanced ancient technology, cyclical cataclysms, suppressed archaeology, and your automatic response is, that can't be true. Not because you've researched it, not because you have counter-evidence, but because accepting it would shatter your entire worldview. So you reject it before you even examine it. If cognitive dissonance is your default, your code is offline. Because activated people can hold multiple possibilities simultaneously. They can entertain ideas without immediately accepting or rejecting them. They can sit in the discomfort of not knowing. Sign 7. Anxiety when confronting unknown knowledge. You feel anxious, defensive, or threatened when you encounter information that doesn't fit the accepted narrative. Instead of curiosity, you feel fear. Instead of exploration, you feel the need to debunk, dismiss, or shut down. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing gets shallow. You want to close the tab, leave the conversation, change the subject. If new information makes you contract instead of expand. your code is offline. Because activated people feel excitement when they encounter new patterns. They lean in. They want to know more. Sign 8. Lack of instinctual intuition or gut signals. You don't trust your body. You don't get gut feelings anymore. Or if you do, you ignore them. You rely entirely on external validation, experts, studies, authorities, friends' opinions to make decisions. You've lost the ability to just know something without proof. If you've disconnected from your instincts, your code is offline. Because activated people trust their body's intelligence first. They verify with external sources. Second. Sign 9. No interest in learning practical skills. You have no desire to learn how to grow food, purify water, build shelter, make fire, or any other hands-on, practical skill. You think, that's what we have society for. That's what we have stores for. That's what we have systems for. You're entirely dependent on infrastructure continuing to function. If you have zero interest in self-sufficiency, your code is offline. Because activated people feel a pull toward practical knowledge. They want to know how to take care of themselves without depending on systems. Sign 10. Believing collapse is impossible or far away. You think the system is stable, that civilization will continue basically as it is for the foreseeable future. You believe technology will solve our problems, that leaders will figure it out, that things might get worse, but they won't actually collapse. You make long-term plans, 30-year mortgages, retirement accounts, college funds, without any consideration that the system might not exist in its current form. If you can't conceive of major systemic collapse in your lifetime, your code is offline. Because activated people can feel the cycle turning. They know collapse isn't a maybe, it's a when. Now here's the important part. These aren't personality flaws. These aren't things to be ashamed of. These are indicators of a dormant ancestral circuit. And dormant doesn't mean dead. It means asleep. And anything asleep can be awakened. So why does the code go offline in the first place? Because it's supposed to. The system, modern education, media, religion, social conditioning, is designed to put it to sleep. Because people with the code activated are impossible to control. They don't comply. They don't conform. They don't obey. They trust themselves more than they trust authority. They see patterns the system doesn't want them to see. They remember things the system wants them to forget. They ask questions that don't have approved answers. So the system puts the code to sleep early. In childhood, through school, through culture, through fear, through shame. And most people stay asleep their whole lives. They live and die without ever activating their true potential. But you're not most people. Because you're still here. You're still watching. Something in you is fighting to wake up. And if you're feeling any of these signs, if you recognize yourself in this list, don't panic. This is the beginning of activation. Because awareness is the first step. You can't change what you can't see. And now you see it. You see where you're blocked. You see where you're still asleep. You see where the code is dormant. So here's what you do next. You stop defending your sleep. You stop protecting your comfort. You stop choosing safety over truth. And you lean into the discomfort. You lean into the unknown. You lean into the activation. Because the code is already inside you. You're not installing new software. You're removing the blocks. You're removing the programming that's been keeping you small, scared, and compliant. And once those blocks come down, everything changes. You start seeing. You start feeling. You start knowing. And you can never go back to sleep. All right, this is it. This is what you came for. Not theory, not history, not more information. Action. Because understanding the code intellectually won't save you. You have to activate it. And you have to do it now. Not when you feel ready. Not when you have more time. Not when life calms down. Now. Because the cycle is turning, the timeline is collapsing, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Here's the truth. Activating the civilization code isn't complicated. It's not a 12-step program. It's not a $5,000 course. It's not years of therapy or decades of meditation. It's a series of simple, primal, ancestral practices that bypass your logical mind and speak directly to your nervous system. And if you do them, really do them, not just read about them, your life will change within days. Not months, not years, days. Because this isn't about learning something new. It's about removing what's blocking what's already there. Let's do this. Technique 1. Ancestral resonance. Breath work. Your breath is the fastest way to shift your nervous system, and your nervous system is where the code lives. Most people breathe shallow, fast, anxious. Chest breathing, panic breathing. That's survival breathing, that's fear breathing. But ancient humans, they breathe deep, slow, powerful. Why? Because deep breathing activates hypoxia resistance markers, genetic traits linked to surviving high-altitude migrations, ice ages, low oxygen environments, and extreme conditions. And when you activate those markers, your body remembers. It remembers what it's capable of. It remembers how to survive. It remembers the code. Here's the practice. Find a quiet place. Sit or stand. Doesn't matter. Close your eyes. Step 1. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Deep. Fill your belly first, then your ribs, then your chest. Full expansion. Step 2. Hold for 7 seconds. Don't strain, just hold. Feel the pressure. Feel the aliveness. Feel your body working with limited oxygen. Step 3. Exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds. Slow, controlled, complete. Like you're blowing out a candle that won't go out. Repeat this for 3 minutes minimum. 5 minutes is better, just 3 to 5 minutes. What happens physiologically? Your heart rate slows, your blood becomes slightly hypoxic, low oxygen. Your CO2 levels rise. Your brain shifts into a theta state, the state between waking and sleeping where the subconscious is most accessible. Your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, downregulates. Your parasympathetic nervous system, rest and restore, activates. And your body starts scanning for ancestral memory patterns. What you might experience: tingling in your hands and face, that's normal, that's CO2 buildup. Emotional releases, crying, laughing, anger coming up from nowhere. Flashes of images or symbols you've never seen before. A sense of deep calm and knowing. Body memories. Feeling like you're in a different place or time. Don't analyze it, just witness it. Do this every morning. First thing, before you check your phone, before coffee, before anything. 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. And here's why it works. Your ancestors survived because they could regulate their nervous systems under extreme stress. They didn't panic when resources ran out. They didn't freeze when danger appeared. They stayed calm, clear, and capable. That same circuitry is in you. You're just reactivating it, and breath is the key that unlocks it. Technique 2. Mythic Memory Recall Protocol. This is where you tap into the symbolic memory stored epigenetically. You're not trying to remember past lives. You're not trying to access Akashic records. You're not channeling spirits or entities. You're simply allowing your subconscious to surface patterns it already holds. Here's the practice. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Use the breath pattern from Technique 1 if you want. Then ask yourself these 3 questions, out loud if possible. The vibration of your voice matters. If you can't speak aloud, ask them internally with intention. Question 1. What did my ancestors survive? Don't force an answer. Don't try to make something up. Just ask and wait. Hold the question in your mind. Hold it in your body. And observe what arises. You might see water, floods, massive walls of water, cities underwater. You might see fire, volcanoes erupting, the sky turning black, ash falling like snow. You might see ice, Glaciers advancing, cold so intense it kills. People migrating, walking, carrying what they can. You might see war, conflict, collapse of order, chaos and survival. You might see famine, crops failing, people starving, communities deciding who eats and who doesn't. You might see disease, plague, bodies, the ones who survived having some genetic advantage. You might see migration, long journeys, crossing water, climbing mountains, finding new land. Whatever comes up, don't judge it. Don't analyze it. Don't try to make it make sense. Just observe and thank it for surfacing. Question 2. What skill did they pass down to me? Again, wait. Don't force it. You might feel a pull toward plants. Herbalism, knowing which plants heal, which feed, which protect. You might feel a pull toward building. Construction, knowing how to create shelter from natural materials. You might feel a pull toward water, knowing how to find it, purify it, store it. You might feel a pull toward fire, knowing how to create it, maintain it, use it for warmth, cooking, protection. You might feel a pull toward healing. Medicine, knowing how to treat wounds, set bones, ease pain. You might feel a pull toward navigation. Reading stars, reading land, knowing direction without tools. You might feel a pull toward storytelling, preserving knowledge through oral tradition, remembering what matters. Whatever you feel, trust it. That's not a random interest. That's genetic memory trying to express itself. Question 3. What is my role in the next cycle? This one might not have an immediate answer. That's fine. But keep asking it daily and watch what shows up in your life. You might start meeting people who need exactly what you have. You might start being pulled towards specific locations, communities, or projects. You might start having dreams that show you what you're meant to do. You might start developing skills you never planned to develop. Trust the process. Do this for 5 to 10 minutes, every night before bed. Why before bed? Because that's when your subconscious is most active. That's when the gateway between conscious and unconscious is most open. And what you ask before sleep gets worked on while you're sleeping. What happens? Your subconscious starts surfacing buried instincts. You'll start having dreams that feel more real than waking life. Dreams that carry information. Dreams that show you things. You'll start being drawn to specific skills, specific knowledge, specific people that align with your role. You're not creating these patterns. You're uncovering them. You're not making things up. You're remembering. Technique 3. Geomantic reorientation. Ancient civilizations aligned themselves to the Earth's magnetic field, to cardinal directions, to celestial cycles. They built temples aligned to solstices and equinoxes. They oriented their cities to true north. They knew that direction matters, that the Earth has a field, and humans are meant to be in relationship with that field. Modern humans, we live in boxes. We stare at screens. We have no idea where north is. We're completely disconnected from the Earth's rhythms, the Earth's directions, the Earth's intelligence, and that disorientation. It's not just physical, it's spiritual, it's energetic. When you don't know where you are on Earth, you don't know who you are as a being. Here's the practice. Once a day, every day, go outside. Barefoot if possible. If it's too cold, then shoes are fine, but barefoot is better. Face north. Use a compass app on your phone if you don't know. But learn where north is in relation to your home, so eventually you don't need the app. Stand still. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel the air around you. Feel yourself as a body standing on a planet that's spinning through space. Then turn to face each direction. Spend at least 30 seconds facing each one. North. Survival, endurance, winter, death and rebirth. The place the sun never touches in the northern hemisphere. The place of darkness and rest. Feel into that energy. Feel what north represents. Strength, resilience, the ability to endure. East, beginning, dawn, spring, new cycles. the place where the sun rises, the place of birth and new possibility. Feel into that energy. Feel what east represents. Hope, renewal, fresh starts. South, power. Noon, summer, peak energy. The place where the sun is strongest in the northern hemisphere. The place of full expression. Feel into that energy. Feel what south represents. Vitality, strength, full activation. West, completion, dusk, autumn, release. The place where the sun sets. The place of endings and letting go. Feel into that energy. Feel what west represents. Wisdom, closure, the peace of things ending. Spend 30 seconds facing each direction. Just stand. Just breathe. Just feel. What happens? Your body starts recalibrating to Earth's rhythms instead of artificial time. Your circadian rhythm starts correcting. Your sleep improves. You start feeling more grounded, more centered, more here. You stop living entirely in your head and start living in your body. Your intuition sharpens because you're reconnecting to the field. And that grounding, that's where the code stabilizes. Without grounding, activation is chaotic. You're receiving signals, but you can't process them. You're downloading information, but you can't integrate it. But with grounding, everything stabilizes. Everything clarifies. Do this daily, 2 to 3 minutes total, outside, barefoot when possible, no exceptions, even in rain, even in cold. Especially in extreme weather, because that's when the Earth's energy is strongest. Technique 4. Collapse resilience patterning. Your nervous system needs to learn that uncertainty is safe, that chaos is navigable, that you can handle what's coming. And the only way to teach it that, through deliberate micro-exposures to discomfort. Not trauma, not overwhelm. Micro-exposures. Small manageable challenges that train your system to stay calm under pressure. Here's the practice. Every day, do these 3 things. 1. Daily discomfort. Do something that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Not unbearable, not traumatic, just uncomfortable. Examples. Cold shower. Start with 30 seconds, build up to 2 minutes. Skip breakfast, fast until noon. Sleep on the floor instead of your bed. Walk barefoot outside, even on rough terrain. Sit in silence for 20 minutes with no distractions. Hold your breath as long as you can. Exercise until you're genuinely fatigued. Have a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. The specific discomfort doesn't matter. What matters is that you're training your nervous system to handle what's unpleasant without collapsing. Why this works: every time you voluntarily enter discomfort and stay calm, you're teaching your amygdala, fear center, that discomfort doesn't equal danger. You're expanding your window of tolerance. You're building resilience. And when real crisis comes, when the systems actually do collapse, you won't freeze. You won't panic. You'll adapt because you've trained for it. 2. Micro-exploration. Do something you've never done before, something small, something unfamiliar. Examples. Take a different route home. Shop at a different grocery store. Talk to a stranger. Try a food you've never tried. Learn 3 words in a new language. Visit a place in your city you've never been. Listen to music from a culture you don't know. Wake up at a different time. Rearrange your furniture. Again, the specific action doesn't matter. What matters is novelty. Why this works. When you encounter novelty, your brain has to create new neural pathways. It has to adapt. It has to navigate the unknown. Most people live in complete routine. Same route, same food, same conversations, same everything. And when something changes, when the routine breaks, they fall apart. But if you're constantly introducing micro-novelty, your brain stays flexible, adaptive, ready. 3. Intuition-led. Action. Once a day, do something purely because your gut says to. Don't rationalize it, don't explain it, don't need to understand why, just do it. Examples. Call someone you've been thinking about. No reason, just call. Buy something your gut says to buy, even if it seems random. Go somewhere your gut says to go, even if it's inconvenient. Stop doing something your gut says to stop, even if you've committed to it. Say something your gut says to say, even if it's uncomfortable. Change plans last minute because something feels off. The action doesn't matter. What matters is that you're training yourself to trust your instincts over your thoughts. Why this works? Your gut, your intuition, is faster and smarter than your conscious mind. It's processing millions of data points you're not consciously aware of. But most people ignore it. They rationalize. They override it with logic. And then they wonder why they keep making bad decisions. If you practice trusting your gut with small things, you'll trust it with big things. And when the cycle turns, when things get chaotic, your gut will guide you to safety. But only if you've trained yourself to listen. Do all three, every single day, for 30 days minimum. Track it if you want. Journal about it. Notice what changes. What happens? Your tolerance for uncertainty expands dramatically. Your fear response decreases. Your confidence in your own knowing skyrockets. You start feeling capable instead of fragile. You stop needing everything to be comfortable, predictable, and safe. And that's ancestral survivor coding activating in real time. That's you becoming someone who can navigate collapse instead of someone who gets crushed by it. Technique 5. Identity detachment. This is the most important one, and the hardest, because most people are so attached to their modern identity, their job, their status, their beliefs, their routines, their roles, that they can't let it go. They are their job. They are their degree. They are their political affiliation. They are their relationship status. And when those things are threatened, they fall apart, because they don't know who they are without them. But here's the truth. You are not a modern human. You are not a citizen. You are not a consumer. You are not a taxpayer. You are not your job title. You are not your bank account. You are not your social media following. You are the 7th iteration of a repeating pattern. You are a descendant of survivors. You carry 6 lost civilizations in your blood. You carry memory, instincts, and coding that predates every system currently in place. And until you detach from the false identity and step into the real one, the code stays dormant. Here's the practice. Every morning, before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before coffee, before you put on your modern identity, say this out loud. I am not who I was taught to be. I am a descendant of survivors. I carry 6 lost civilizations in my blood. I am here to remember, to prepare, and to carry the code forward. This is my only job. Everything else is secondary. Say it like you mean it. Say it until you feel it. Don't just recite it. Embody it. Feel it in your chest. Feel it in your bones. And then, this is key, act accordingly. Ask yourself throughout the day, what would a descendant of survivors do right now? Would they stress about their boss's opinion? No. They'd do their job with integrity and not need external validation. Would they waste time on social media drama? No. They'd use their time and energy for what actually matters. Would they eat processed food? Skip exercise? Numb themselves with Netflix? No. They'd take care of their body, because it's the vehicle that carries them through. Would they stay in relationships or situations that drain them? No. They'd protect their energy, like their life depends on it, because it does. Would they fear what others think? No. They'd move with purpose and let others think whatever they want. So here's your assignment. For the next 7 days, minimum, live like someone whose only job is to prepare for the next cycle. Not in fear, not in panic, in calm, practical readiness. What does that look like practically? Learn a skill you've been putting off. growing food, purifying water, first aid. Build something with your hands. Anything, a shelf, a garden bed, a fire. Grow something. Start with herbs, move to vegetables. Connect with someone who's also awake. Build your network. Read something that expands your knowledge. Ancient history, survival skills, consciousness. Move your body intentionally. Train strength, endurance, flexibility. Practice solitude. Sit in silence. Disconnect from noise. Declutter your life. Get rid of what you don't need. Simplify. Every day for 7 days, do at least one thing that aligns with your true identity. And watch what happens. What happens? Your energy shifts. Your frequency changes. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstance and start feeling like an agent of your own destiny. You stop seeking permission and start trusting yourself. You stop looking outside for answers and start accessing the wisdom inside. And reality responds. Opportunities appear. Resources show up. The right people find you. Because the moment you step into this identity, the moment you stop pretending to be a modern human and start embodying what you actually are, the code activates fully. And there's no going back. You can never unsee what you've seen. You can never unknow what you've remembered. You're awake, and you're staying awake. Format it cleanly. Do these 5 techniques. Daily, 5 to 10 minutes each. That's 25 to 50 minutes total per day. You have time. You're just spending it on things that don't matter. Cut the scrolling, cut the Netflix, and do this instead. No overthinking, no analysis, no I'll start Monday. Start tonight. Do the breathwork before bed. Ask the 3 questions. Tomorrow morning, face the cardinal directions. Throughout the day, do your 3 practices: discomfort, novelty, intuition. And every morning, recite your true identity. Because here's the truth. The code doesn't activate through understanding. It activates through action. You can read about this for years and nothing will change. Or you can start tonight and everything will change. Your choice. But you've already wasted enough time. All right. I know what some of you are thinking right now. This sounds great, but is it actually real? Or is this just mystical fluff? Is there science behind this, or am I just believing what I want to believe? Fair question. And here's the answer. It's both. It's mystical, and it's real. Because science and spirituality aren't opposites. They're 2 languages describing the same truth. The mystics knew about energy, frequency, and consciousness thousands of years before scientists had the equipment to measure it. And now? Science is catching up. And what they're discovering proves what the ancients already knew. So let me show you the mechanisms, the actual neurological, biological, and energetic systems that make the civilization code work. Not so you can defend it to skeptics, but so you can trust it yourself. Because belief isn't enough. You need to know it works. And then you need to act on that knowing. Mechanism 1. Predictive memory circuits. Your brain doesn't just store memories of things that happened to you in this lifetime. It stores patterns your ancestors survived. This is called transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, and it's not fringe science anymore. It's documented, published, proven. Here's a famous study. Researchers at Emory University trained mice to fear the smell of cherry blossoms by pairing the scent with electric shocks. Then they bred those mice. The offspring, who never experienced the shocks themselves, were also afraid of cherry blossoms, and so were their offspring. For generations. The memory of trauma was encoded in their DNA and passed down through the germline. Another study. Researchers studied the descendants of Holocaust survivors. The grandchildren, people who never experienced the Holocaust themselves, showed altered stress hormone profiles identical to their grandparents. They carried the biological markers of trauma they never personally experienced. Another study. Descendants of people who survived famines show different metabolic responses than people whose ancestors didn't experience famine. They store fat more efficiently. They have different hunger signals, even 2 or 3 generations later. What does this mean? When your great-great-great ancestors survived a flood, a famine, a collapse, a migration, a war, your body remembers. Not consciously, not in your explicit memory, but cellularly, biologically, epigenetically. Their survival strategies are encoded in your DNA. Their trauma is encoded. Their resilience is encoded. Their instincts are encoded. And when you create the right conditions, through breath work, through ritual, through activation practices, those memories surface. That's why you feel a pull toward high ground even though you've never experienced flooding. Your ancestors survived flooding. And that survival strategy is in you. That's why you have irrational fears that don't match your life experience. Your ancestors survived specific threats, and those fear responses are in you. That's why some skills feel natural while others feel impossible. Your ancestors developed specific competencies, and those abilities are latent in you. The breath work activates this. When you shift your nervous system into a hypoxic state, low oxygen, high CO2, you're simulating survival conditions, and your body starts scanning its ancestral memory bank for solutions. What did my ancestors do when resources were scarce? When danger was present? When collapse was happening? And the answers surface, not as thoughts, as instincts, as gut feelings, as body knowing. Mechanism 2, dopamine salience markers. Your brain decides what's important based on dopamine. Dopamine is the neurochemical of motivation, reward, and attention. When dopamine is released, your brain says, "This matters. Pay attention to this. Remember this." And dopamine gets released when you encounter 3 things. 1. Novelty, something new and unexpected. 2. Uncertainty, something unpredictable. 3. Reward, something that feels good or useful. Here's the problem. Most people's dopamine systems are completely hijacked by junk. Social media notifications, porn, sugar, shopping, outrage cycles, gambling mechanics in apps and games. All of these create massive dopamine spikes followed by crashes. And over time, your dopamine receptors downregulate. You need more and more stimulation to feel anything. You become numb, apathetic, unable to focus, unable to care about things that actually matter. Here's what happens when you do the collapse resilience patterning. When you deliberately seek novelty, micro-exploration, and navigate uncertainty, daily discomfort, you're retraining your dopamine system. You're teaching your brain to value real-world adaptability over digital distraction. You're restoring healthy dopamine function. And when your dopamine system is healthy, you become capable. You can focus. You can persist. You can learn. You can adapt. You become someone who can handle chaos instead of someone who collapses when the Wi-Fi goes out. This is critical for activation. People with fried dopamine systems cannot activate the code, because activation requires sustained attention, emotional regulation, and the ability to tolerate discomfort. If your dopamine system is fried, you're constantly seeking the next hit, the next distraction, the next escape. But if your dopamine system is healthy, you can sit with discomfort, you can stay present, you can do the work. Mechanism 3. Fear extinction pathways. Your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, learns through exposure. Here's how it works. When you encounter something scary or uncomfortable, your amygdala activates. It sends signals throughout your body: elevated heart rate, shallow breathing, muscle tension, stress hormones. This is the fear response: fight, flight, or freeze. If you avoid the scary thing, your amygdala learns, that was dangerous. We must avoid it in the future. And your fear response to that stimulus gets stronger. But if you deliberately expose yourself to the scary thing and nothing bad happens, your amygdala learns, Oh, that wasn't actually dangerous. We can handle this. And your fear response to that stimulus weakens. This is called fear extinction, and it's how phobias are treated in therapy. Here's the application. When you do the daily discomfort practice, cold showers, fasting, silence, physical challenge, you're deliberately activating mild fear responses. And then you're staying calm through them. You're teaching your amygdala. Discomfort is not danger. I can handle this. And the more you do this, the more your baseline shifts. You go from anxiety as your default to confidence as your default. You go from the world is threatening to I am capable. This is essential for navigating collapse. When the systems actually do fall apart, people will panic, they'll freeze, they'll make terrible decisions from fear, they'll become paralyzed. But you'll have trained for this. Your nervous system will recognize this is intense, but I've practiced intensity. I can handle this. And you'll adapt while others collapse. The research backs this up. Studies on military personnel show that those who undergo stress inoculation training, controlled exposure to stressors, perform significantly better in actual combat situations. They don't freeze, they don't panic, they execute, because they've trained their fear extinction pathways. You're doing the same thing. You're stress inoculating yourself for collapse. Mechanism pull 4. Intergenerational trauma transmutation. Here's the esoteric part that science is just starting to understand. Trauma isn't just in your mind, it's in your body, in your fascia, in your nervous system, in your DNA. The research. Studies on trauma survivors show that traumatic experiences create physical changes in the body. Altered stress hormone levels, elevated cortisol, dysregulated adrenaline. Changes in gene expression, certain genes turn on or off. Nervous system dysregulation, stuck in fight/flight or freeze. Cellular memory, the body remembers the trauma even when the mind doesn't. And these changes get passed down, not just psychologically, biologically. Your parents' trauma lives in your body. Your grandparents' trauma lives in your body. Your ancestors' trauma lives in your body. This is why some people have anxiety disorders with no clear cause. They didn't experience the original trauma, but their body is still responding to it. This is why some people have inexplicable fears. The fear isn't about their life, it's ancestral. This is why some people feel a weight they can't explain. They're carrying generational trauma. But here's the good news, and this is huge. Healing also gets passed down. When you do the work, when you activate the code, when you rewire your nervous system, when you process and release ancestral trauma, you're not just healing yourself. You're healing your lineage. Your children will inherit a different baseline. They won't carry the same trauma you carried. They'll inherit your healing instead. Your grandchildren will carry a different frequency. This is how evolution actually works. Not through random mutation over millions of years. Through conscious adaptation within lifetimes. When you change your internal state, your nervous system, your gene expression, your cellular memory, you change what you pass down. The science. Epigenetic changes can happen within one lifetime and be inherited by offspring. Mice exposed to stress pass stress vulnerability to their pups. But mice who overcome stress pass resilience to their pups. The same mechanism that passes down trauma can pass down healing. So when you activate the civilization code, you're not just changing your life, you're changing your lineage. You're breaking cycles that have been running for generations. You're becoming the ancestor your descendants will be grateful for. Now let's tie this to esoteric teachings, because the mystics knew all of this. They just used different language. Hermetic principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. The outer world mirrors the inner world. If your inner state is fear, chaos, scarcity, lack, that's what you'll experience externally. That's what you'll attract. That's what you'll create. But when you activate the code, When your inner state becomes calm, ancestral, knowing, aligned, your external reality shifts to match. Not through magic, through frequency. You're broadcasting a different signal, and reality responds to that signal. Vedic memory of lost yugas. In Vedic cosmology, time is cyclical, not linear. We move through yugas, ages, of rise and fall. 4 yugas make up one cycle. Satya Yuga, Golden Age. Humans are at peak consciousness, long lifespans, harmony with nature, advanced spiritually. Treta Yuga, Silver Age. Slight decline. Lifespans shorten. Knowledge begins to fragment. Dvapara Yuga, Bronze Age. Further decline. Division increases. Knowledge becomes more specialized. Kali Yuga, Iron Age. The age of darkness, forgetting, materialism, conflict, shortest lifespans, lowest consciousness. We're currently in Kali Yuga, the age of forgetting. But here's what the Vedas teach. Those who remember the previous yugas, who carry the memory of higher ages, don't fall with the cycle. They bridge it. They carry the knowledge, the consciousness, the frequency forward, so it's not lost when the cycle resets. That's you. You're not meant to fully participate in Kali Yuga. You're meant to remember what came before, so you can carry it forward into what comes after. Egyptian Zep Tepi, the first time. The golden age before the flood, the time when the gods walked among men. The time when humans were conscious, powerful, aligned. Egyptian priests believed they carried the memory of Zep Tepi in their teachings, their rituals, their symbols. They encoded the knowledge in temples, in hieroglyphs, in mystery schools, and they passed it down through initiates who could hold the frequency. Not everyone could receive it. Only those who had prepared themselves. Only those whose nervous systems could handle the activation. That's the same code, different culture, same truth. The knowledge of the first time, the knowledge of how humans are supposed to be, what we're capable of, what we've lost, is encoded. And it's passed down through bloodlines, through symbols, through direct transmission, from those who remember to those who are ready to remember. Sumerian pre-flood dynasties. The Sumerian king list records rulers who reigned for thousands of years before the flood. After the flood? Shorter reigns, shorter lifespans, less knowledge, less power. Why? Because the code was diluted. The survivors had to start over with fragments of what was. They didn't have the full knowledge. They didn't have the full capacity, but those fragments, they're still here, in myth, in symbol, in DNA. And when you activate them, you're not learning something new. You're remembering something ancient. You're accessing the pre-flood consciousness. The consciousness of the previous cycles. Indigenous prophecies. The Hopi speak of the fourth world, this current age, ending and the fifth world beginning. They say the people who transition successfully will be those who remember the old ways, who live in harmony, who prepare spiritually, not just physically. The Maya speak of the end of a great cycle and the beginning of a new one. They say this transition will be turbulent, chaotic, but those who are aligned will navigate it. The Aboriginal Australians speak of the dream time, the time when ancestors walked the earth and created everything. They say the dream time isn't the past. It's always accessible. It's the deeper reality beneath this one. And those who can access it through ritual, through connection, through consciousness, can bring that wisdom into this world. Same pattern, different cultures, same truth. Collapse is cyclical. The code is passed down. The survivors are those who remember. So here's the synthesis. The civilization code isn't magic. It's not fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. It's biology meeting consciousness. It's ancestral memory meeting intentional practice. It's ancient wisdom meeting modern science. It's the convergence of everything. The science proves it. Epigenetic memory, neuroplasticity, dopamine regulation, fear extinction, gene expression changes, All of it is measurable, documented, real. The mysticism explains it. Correspondence, cyclical time, ancestral knowing, symbolic memory, frequency alignment. All of it is verifiable through experience. And when you activate it, you become what you were always meant to be. A living bridge between the old world and the new, not trapped in the collapse, navigating it, not a victim of the cycle, a guardian of it, not lost in the chaos, guided by something deeper. You're not learning how to survive the 7th civilization ending. You're remembering how to carry the code into the 8th. And that changes everything. We're almost done. But before I let you go, you need to hear this, because activation isn't optional anymore. It's survival. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to wake you up. Here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud. Civilizations don't collapse because people are weak. They don't collapse because of external enemies or natural disasters or bad leadership. They collapse because people forget. They forget the patterns. They forget the cycles. They forget that this has all happened before. And when they forget, they become helpless, reactive, dependent. They look to systems to save them, systems that are collapsing. They look to leaders for answers, leaders who are just as lost as everyone else. They look to technology for solutions, technology that requires infrastructure that's failing. And they go down with the ship because they never learned how to swim. That's exactly where we are right now. And everyone is asking the same question. How did we get here? But the real question is, have we been here before? And the answer is yes. 6 times. 6 civilizations rose, thrived, reached heights we can barely comprehend, forgot who they were, forgot the cycles, forgot the warning signs, and fell. And we're doing it again. The same patterns, the same mistakes, the same trajectory toward inevitable breakdown. But here's the difference. In the previous cycles, most people didn't see it coming. They didn't have the historical memory. They didn't have the pattern recognition. They didn't have access to information from previous collapses. They just lived their lives until one day, flood, fire, famine, war, plague, it was over. But you have a choice. Because you're seeing it, you're feeling it, you're recognizing the pattern. You know something major is coming. You don't know exactly what or exactly when, but you know. Your body knows, your instincts know, your code knows. And that recognition gives you a window, a narrow window, to prepare. Not just physically, not just stockpiling supplies and building bunkers, energetically, spiritually, cellularly. Because here's what happens if you don't activate the code. You will face the next cycle as prey. Not as a descendant of survivors, not as a carrier of ancestral memory. As prey, you'll be reactive, panicked, dependent on systems that no longer function. You'll look to governments for safety, governments that can't protect you because they're collapsing too. You'll look to experts for answers. Experts who are just as lost as everyone else because their entire framework is built on the old paradigm. You'll look to the grid, the supply chain, the economy, structures that are already collapsing and will be gone within years, if not months. And when they fail, not if, when, you will have nothing to fall back on. No skills, no instincts, no ancestral knowing, no internal compass, just fear, just paralysis. Just dependency on systems that don't exist anymore, and you'll be swept away with the masses who never saw it coming. But if you activate the code now, you will face the next cycle as a descendant, as someone who has done this before, as someone who knows how to navigate chaos, as someone who can read the signs, trust their instincts, and move with purpose instead of panic. You won't need the government. You won't need the grid. You won't need permission from authorities who have lost all authority, because you'll have something far more valuable: internal sovereignty. The ability to trust yourself, to navigate by your own compass, to make decisions based on your own knowing rather than external validation. And internal sovereignty is the only thing that survives collapse. Everything else, money, status, credentials, titles, possessions, becomes worthless when the system falls. But internal sovereignty, that's portable, that's permanent, that's what gets you through. Now let me be clear about something. This isn't about hoarding gold or building bunkers or moving off-grid. Those things might help. They're not bad strategies, but they're not the code. The code is about who you become. It's about your nervous system, your frequency, your identity, your level of consciousness. Because when the systems fall, the people who thrive won't be the ones with the most resources. They'll be the ones with the most resilience, the most adaptability, the most ancestral memory. They'll be the ones who can stay calm while others panic. They'll be the ones who can make fire when others freeze. They'll be the ones who can find water when others die of thirst. They'll be the ones who can grow food when others starve. They'll be the ones who can build community when others isolate. They'll be the ones who can lead when others follow blindly. Not because they're special, because they prepared, because they activated, because they remembered. And here's the thing. The window is closing. The cycle is accelerating. The signs are everywhere: economic instability, environmental breakdown, social collapse, geopolitical tension. Every month, the signs get clearer. Every year, the trajectory becomes more obvious. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Because activation under pressure is exponentially harder than activation in calm. Right now, you still have space. You still have time. You still have the luxury of doing this intentionally, slowly, mindfully. You can breathe, you can practice, you can integrate. But that window won't stay open forever. There will come a point, and it's approaching fast, where you won't have the space to activate gradually. You'll be forced to activate in crisis, under extreme pressure, with no preparation. And that's possible. People do activate in crisis. It's called post-traumatic growth. But it's brutal, it's traumatic, and many people don't make it through. So why wait? Why wait until you're forced into it? Why not activate now, while you still have the space to do it consciously? Here's what I'm saying directly. If you do not activate the civilization code, you will face the next cycle as prey, not as a descendant of the ones who survived before you. And I don't say that to scare you into action. I say it because it's true, and because you deserve to know the stakes. This is not a game. This is not content. This is not entertainment. This is your life, your lineage, your legacy. What you do next will determine not just your survival, but the survival of everyone who comes after you. Because the 8th civilization, it only happens if people like you carry the code through. If you don't activate, the code dies with this cycle. The knowledge is lost, the memory is lost, the consciousness is lost. And the 8th civilization, if it even happens, has to start from scratch. From zero, with no memory of what came before. But if you activate, if you carry the code through, then the 8th civilization has a foundation, a blueprint, a memory. They won't have to rediscover everything, because you'll pass it down. Through your children, through your students, through everyone you touch. That's the real job. Not just surviving, carrying the code forward so others can build on it, being a link in the chain that doesn't break. So the question is simple. Are you a link, or are you a break? Are you going to activate and carry the code forward, or are you going to let it die with you? Your ancestors survived 6 collapses, so you could be here. Will your descendants survive the 7th because of what you do now? All right, we're at the end. But this isn't really an ending. It's a beginning. Because now you know about the code. You know it's inside you. You know it's been there your whole life, waiting for this moment. And now you have to decide, are you going to activate it? Or are you going to let it stay dormant? Are you going to step into who you actually are? Or are you going to keep pretending to be someone you're not? Are you going to remember? Or are you going to forget? Here's what I want you to understand. You were never meant to be a citizen of a single era. You were never meant to live and die inside one timeline, one narrative, one version of reality. You were never meant to fit inside the boxes they built for you: employee, consumer, taxpayer, voter. You are the living archive of 6 forgotten worlds. You carry their memory, their resilience, their knowledge, their consciousness. Not in books, not in artifacts, in your DNA, in your nervous system, in your cellular memory. You are a walking library of everything humanity has ever learned, ever survived, ever overcome. And the 7th civilization, this one, the one collapsing around you right now, is not your home. It never was. You've never fully fit here. You've always felt like you were born in the wrong time, like you're remembering something instead of learning something, like you're waiting for something you can't name. That's because this isn't your home. It's your responsibility. Your responsibility is not to save the 7th civilization. It's too late for that. The cycle is ending. That's not failure. That's design. Cycles end. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. Your responsibility is to carry what matters through the ending, to remember what they forgot, to activate what they buried, to become a bridge so the next world has a foundation to build on. And that starts now, tonight. Not when you feel ready, not when you have more information, not when life slows down, not when conditions are perfect now, because the code doesn't activate through thinking about it. It doesn't activate through understanding it intellectually. It doesn't activate through watching more videos or reading more books. It activates through living it. So here's what you do. Tonight, before you sleep, you do the breath work. 3 to 5 minutes. You ask the 3 questions. You listen for what surfaces. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, you speak your true identity out loud. You face the cardinal directions. You ground yourself. Throughout tomorrow, you do your 3 practices. 1 discomfort, 1 novelty, 1 intuition-led action. And you do this every day for 30 days minimum. Not perfectly. You'll miss days. That's fine. Just keep going. Because consistency beats intensity. Small daily actions compound into massive transformation. And within 30 days, you will not be the same person. Your nervous system will be different. Your frequency will be different. Your reality will be different. You'll look back at who you were 30 days ago and barely recognize that person. Because you'll have activated something they kept dormant. You'll have remembered something they kept hidden. You'll have become something they tried to prevent. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to do this alone. Because as you activate, you'll naturally attract others who are also activating. You'll find your tribe, your lineage, your people, the ones who also feel the pull, the ones who also remember, the ones who also know something major is happening. And together, you'll be stronger than you ever were alone. Because that's how our ancestors survived. Not as isolated individuals, as tribes, as communities, as people who remembered together. So here's my final transmission to you. You are not alone in this. You never were. The code connects you to everyone who came before and everyone who will come after. You're part of an unbroken lineage of survivors, stretching back through 6 lost worlds. And now it's your turn to carry it, your turn to remember, your turn to activate. Your ancestors survived floods, fires, famines, plagues, wars, and collapses, so you could be here. They didn't survive by accident. They survived because they had the code, and they passed it to you. Now it's your job to honor that gift, to activate it, to live it, to pass it forward, because your descendants are counting on you. The 8th civilization is counting on you. The future is counting on you. Not to be perfect, not to have all the answers, not to do it alone. Just to activate, just to remember, just to carry it forward. That's all that's being asked of you. And you're capable of it. You wouldn't have made it this far if you weren't. You wouldn't have clicked this video. You wouldn't have watched this long. You wouldn't be feeling what you're feeling right now if you weren't meant to do this. So stop doubting yourself. Stop waiting for permission. Stop needing validation. Stop looking for proof. The proof is in your body. The proof is in the pull you've been feeling your whole life. The proof is in the fact that you're here now, reading these words. That's not random. That's activation beginning. So let it happen. Let the code awaken. Let the memory surface. Let yourself become who you actually are. Not who they told you to be. Not who you've been pretending to be. Who you actually are. A descendant of 6 lost worlds, a carrier of the code, a bridge between ages, a survivor, a keeper, a guide. Welcome home. You've been away for a long time, living in a world that wasn't yours, playing a role that was never meant for you. But now you're remembering, and once you remember, you can never fully forget again. So here's what happens next. You take what you've learned here, and you activate. You do the practices. You live the identity. You become the frequency. And you watch as your entire reality shifts to match. And then, this is important, you help others remember. Not by preaching, not by convincing, not by forcing, but by embodying, by living so aligned that others feel it and want to know how, by becoming so grounded that others feel safe around you, by carrying such certainty that others trust your knowing. That's how the code spreads, not through information, through transmission, from those who remember to those who are ready to remember. And you're now one of the ones who remembers. So act like it. Move through the world like someone who carries 6 lost civilizations in their blood. Because you do, make decisions like someone who's preparing for a cycle transition. Because you are. Live like someone whose only job is to remember and to carry the code forward. Because that's your only job. Everything else is secondary. One final thing before you go, comment below right now. Write, reveal the code. Not because it's magic, but because it's a commitment, a public declaration that you're done pretending, that you're activating, that you're stepping into your true identity, and then share this with at least one spiritual seeker. One person who's also feeling the pull. One person who's ready to remember, because the next cycle will not wait, and neither can you. The window is open, but it won't stay open forever. So step through it, now, tonight. Do the practices, live the identity. Remember who you are, and watch as everything changes. You are not a citizen of the 7th civilization. You are a descendant of 6 lost worlds, and the 8th world only exists if you carry the code through. Now get to work. The cycle is turning, and you're needed. Welcome home, descendant. The code has been revealed. Now activate it. Your ancestors are watching. Your descendants are waiting. This is your time. I'll see you in the next one.